Welcome to the 4 Pillars of Men's Health, a podcast of resources for restoring vigor and vitality, bringing you top influencers in the men's health arena, case studies of men who have succeeded and how they did it, and cutting-edge teaching on men's health issues from America's leading men's health guru, Dave Skattum. Get ready to take steps towards good health. Here's your host, Dave Skattum.
Hey, welcome to the 4 Pillars of Men's Health podcast. So glad you joined us today. I am so convinced that every man has such a unique, inspirational journey to good health. And that's why I'm so excited about these podcasts that I've been doing recently called Your Story, where I'm just interviewing normal guys who have gone through life and going through life and have experienced some kind of level of success with health and just telling their story, the good, the bad, and the ugly about everything that's gone on. And I'm especially excited to have on my podcast today a friend I've known way back since high school. His name is Guy Olson. Guy, I'm so excited that you joined us today on the 4 Pillars of Men's Health. Thanks for being here today.
Oh, thanks so much for asking me, Dave. I appreciate it.
All right, sounds good. So, Guy, we graduated. We're graduates of class of 1981 from Livingston, Montana. Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Long time ago.
But Guy, shortly after graduation, Guy started up his business called Performance Fuel Specialist, and his passion is to develop products that help your car run more effectively. And the Guy, if you want to talk about fuel additives and how a motor works and how to improve a motor, Guy is the guy to talk to. He's written all kinds of articles about it. He's trained hundreds of people in this, and I'm really excited, Guy, today to hear your perspective on men's health and how your perspective on that. And so I always like to start our sessions with kind of just get to know you a little bit more. I'm curious, what is getting Guy Olson up out of bed in the morning? What's energizing the front burner with Guy Olson these days?
Well, usually it's the same thing. I'm kind of a workaholic, and I enjoy working. And as I've gotten older, my work has had to be more mentally than physically, because I just am not as physically able as I used to be. And I would love to be back in the physical realm of things as well, more and more. And it is getting better for sure. Yeah. And you have been an inspiration to me. I can't tell you, Dave, the inspiration you've been. I passed you the other day as you were out there on the bicycle just traveling down the highway. You didn't even know I passed you, but I know I had to put it in high gear to get around you. You were going so fast, and I was kind of jealous of you. It's like, man, look at him out there on that bicycle, riding at such a speed. It was amazing. Truly. You truly have been an inspiration to me, Dave, and I appreciate all you've done to help me.
That's cool. Well, good. That's good to hear. That fills my heart. That's why I like. That's what I love. I love doing that. So that's great.
Yeah.
Hey, I always like to go ahead, Guy.
No, and I just like to work. I like to keep busy, and I'm one of these guys. I don't ever plan on retiring. I want to work till I drop. That's just kind of the way it is, and hopefully it won't be soon.
Yeah. All right, sounds good. So, I'm an amateur history buff, and I just love reading history and learning and hearing what has happened in our past, and it's pretty inspirational. But when I think of men's health, my mind kind of wanders back to the Greek and Roman time when these amazing sculpturists took like a big chunk of marble and chiseled pieces off of it to make what they had in their mind was an ideal man. I'm just wondering, from your perspective, if you could do that, if you could take a make an ideal man, ideally healthy man, and put him up on one of those Greek columns or Roman columns and say, you know what, this person right here, he is the epitome of good health. How do you see that person? What describe that person?
Well, I think part of it would be just feeling good, not just simply looking good, but feeling good, not having those pains, not struggling with the joints and the back pain and the other issues. And of course, obviously, you know, we all have that picture of what a healthy man would look like with the abs and the muscles and the strength and stuff. And of course, it would all be great, but as you well know, I'm well beyond that age, that happening to that point anyways. But just simply feeling well and being able to enjoy life. A man said to me the other day, he says, I'm retiring at 70 to give me 10 years of life of enjoyment, because my father said after 80 years of age, it gets really hard to enjoy life. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be 80 years old and not wanting to get out of bed in the morning because it hurts. I want to enjoy every single day. And it's hard to do if you're overweight and you're unhealthy and you're not eating well. It's hard to do. It's no fun. Let's enjoy life. God's been so good to us. We have so much. Take advantage of every day, playing with your kids, you know, riding your bike with your family, hiking, whatever it would be. Enjoy that, you know.
Yeah, you know, that, when you're describing that, I'm thinking back to a podcast I did not too long ago with a guy named Todd Isberner. He just turned, like, I think he's, I don't know, between 70 and 75 years old. And we were talking about that same thing about, like, how do you, you know, keep your health, and how do you keep moving forward, and how do you stay healthy? You get, in our society, you hear all the time how, you know, the natural tendency is to, like, you know, get unhealthy and get creaky and pain and arthritis and all those things. But his perspective was, man, let's just, like, let's not get involved with that. Let's stay healthy. So I think we're all on the same page there and trying to figure that out. And there's so many things that play a role in that, but that's so important for us to find out a way and think long term about how can we keep healthy, how can we keep feeling good, how can we stay active and productive in our society. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, so what's so if you think, okay, so now you just described this guy that is active in his older age, and so what do you think is, as you look around in your sphere of influence in our society, is some of the key things that cause a person to get in a state of unhealth?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's multiple, obviously. One of the things I think is stress. I know in my life, and, you know, kind of the history with the, you know, cancer with my wives and the literally 10 years of sitting in a hospital room day after day, or ER or whatever it was, and the stress involved in dealing with that. And I'm one of those, I'm kind of a stress eater. I get hungry, you sit in a hotel or whatever for hours on end, you just got to do something. And so I think stress is a huge part of it. And whether it's work related, whether it's health or family related, we obviously, it doesn't take long to look around outside. There's a lot of stress out there. And so I think that's a really big part, learning to manage that. But, you know, Lord's been good to me, Dave. You know, I gave my life to the Lord that same time when I started this business. I was the same age. It was just a couple months later. And God has been a huge factor in helping me just live a balanced life mentally as well. And not that I haven't put on a few pounds, and I definitely have, and I've taken some off. And after, it seems like my wife passed away, I lose some of that weight after sitting in a hotel or the hotel and hospital. You don't have to anymore. And so I think that's a big factor. Drive-throughs, I think drive-throughs, restaurants, are not healthy either. Hey, I'll just pull in and get a snack, and I think it's good for you,
Yeah. So I want to dig a little bit deeper into this. You mentioned stress as being one of the big causes of unhealth, and just I want everybody to know that Guy knows what he's talking about here with stress. Guy, I don't know how many years ago it was that you were married to your first wife, Tina, who got cancer and passed away, and then shortly after that, I can't remember the time frame, but you had a second wife that got cancer and passed away. Describe that a little bit. What exactly happened? Am I getting that right?
Oh, yeah. My first wife, we'd been married 21 years, had 5 children, had 2 young ones, and she had turned 40 in August, and in September was given 6 months to live. And I cannot even begin to tell you the stress involved worrying about being a single dad, and I got children at home, little ones, and how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to take care of her while she's? I mean, the stress is just immense. I can't even tell you, but she lived 6 years and learned a lot. God was so good to me at that time, but at the same time, I literally lived in Houston, Texas for 2.5 years of those 6 years. Most of that was sitting in a hospital room or a hotel room. And then I remarried, and my second wife was diagnosed shortly after that with terminal liver cancer. And again, more hospital visits, 2.5 years she lived, and then she was 49. My first wife was 46 when she passed away. So young, but the financial stress, how am I going to pay the bills, just simply picking the chemotherapy and the methods. And it's unbelievably stressful. And but Dave, I can tell you, it feels so good not to be in that moment right now and being able to do something different than just sitting and feeling better about myself in general, just physically better.
Yeah. Just listening to you describe those two scenarios is it's like dumping stress on. I feel stressed out just hearing that. I can't imagine going through losing something that you've lived with for 25 years, losing that, and then on top of it, then losing another love of your life. It's just like, so you understand stress. You of all the people I know, stress is you understand the power that it has over you. And tell me a little bit how you mentioned stress being a contributor. You I think you said something like you. When you're in the motel room, when you're stressed out, you ate food, excess food. Was there what else happens with stress, and how was that negative on you? What negative impact did stress have on you in other ways? Describe that a little bit more.
Yeah, one of the things that I realized that I didn't think about before was the effect it has on you mentally. I was working. I could literally go 3 weeks. I never had a calendar. I could go 3 weeks out. I knew what I was going to do, where I was going, who I was visiting. I could remember all of that, and never had to write anything down. And when my wife was diagnosed, my first wife, that was gone. That was just gone. It's never come back. And so mentally, I am not nearly as good as I was. But I will tell you, you've helped me in this juice thing, or it's not really juice. It's kind of the whole vegetables and then a number of nutrients and stuff. It has been so good mentally. It's amazing to me how your diet can affect your mental sharpness and your mood in general. And so I've really tried to incorporate not only that, I know you started me off with the mix, and so I use cocoa powder as well, because cocoa, they say, is good for your mood. So I add cocoa to it, that pure cocoa powder, to help mentally, because you can get that, especially you've been through what I've been through. There's just sometimes you just have a down day, and you're thinking about, the past, and thinking about struggles, and maybe a friend has got cancer. We both have a good friend who just lost a husband to cancer. It stresses me because I know what she's going through. I know the pain involved, and I understand that. And so it really is amazing to me how much your diet affects your mental health. I never realized that. I never realized that. So not only do you feel better physically, Dave, you know what I mean? I have more energy, you want to exercise more, whatever. I am mentally better. I accomplish more during the day because I'm thinking smarter, I'm thinking quicker, my brain is functioning. And not that it's what it was, because it'll never be what it was. I'm just old. But it really does make a difference, Dave.
Yeah. Yep. So when you were in that, so I don't know if you can look back on when you were in some of those dark. I mean, it must have been horrendous when losing one wife and then losing another. What was it that let me back up a little bit. There's guys out there listening to this podcast who have gone through some huge. Maybe it's a relationship loss, but it could be other types of losses. What kind of things did you do? I mean, just to make it to the next day or the next hour or the next week or whatever. What kind of things did you do that helped you get through that time?
Well, I always try and look forward. I don't try and look back. And so even when I lost my wife, I never look at it as what I lost. I always try and look at it as what I had. And I was so blessed. My dad was a positive guy. I can only remember one time my dad saying anything critical about anyone my entire life. Wow. I mean, he just didn't, and he always looked forward. My mom died when I was a kid, and then my only brother died a few years later. So my dad had went through a lot of that stress as well. Yeah. But he was such an inspiration because he never complained. I remember my first wife had lost the femurs in her leg had been dissolved by the cancer. I mean, it literally ate the femurs out of her legs, and she had to have titanium put from her knees to her hips in order for her to be able to stand. And she was on a lot of pain medicine, but she never, ever complained. And I remember saying one day, how come you don't ever complain? You never complain about the pain. And she said, Guy, what good would it do? Would it make me feel better? Yeah. Would it stop the pain? Would it help in any way? She says, it actually makes it worse. She goes, I'm far better off not to say anything. Mentally, I do much better. And I think that's part of it as well. I know we all struggle with whatever. Complaining isn't going to help. Let's look forward. Let's do the best we can, and try and get through day by day. And you can take one day at a time. You don't have to look at the whole life in front of you, or even in the past. Go look forward and look at what's best, and try to do better. Don't look at the past. Just don't.
Yeah. Wow. That's good. That's good stuff. Because, you're right. There's so many people who are going through horrible things and your perspective about it makes a huge, huge difference. Hey, let's turn the corner a little bit here. Go ahead, Guy.
But one of the things that, I lost my wife. I lost both my wives, but they loved me. And so I lost them, but it wasn't because they wanted to go. I really think people who are struggling with relationships or losing a spouse to another one, or losing a spouse due to divorce or whatever it is, I always look in my mind, I look at that as even being more stressful, because you're losing someone you love, but not because of sickness. You're losing them because They no longer care. They no longer love you. Wow. That would be harder for me to know I lost my wife because she didn't love me versus I lost my wife due to cancer. And so there is a lot of stress out there, a lot of broken relationships, broken hearts.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. So let's turn the corner a little bit here. I'm just curious about this with you. As you look around, what do you think? You talked about a person that is healthy being somebody that feels good, has a balanced life, pain-free. What do you think as you look around at people who maybe aren't as healthy as they could be? What do you think is some of the key things that has happened with that person or those people that made them or brought them to a place of being unhealthy?
Well, it goes back to stress, raising your family. You probably know, I got 5 kids. You're raising the kids. You're trying to accomplish everything that they need. You're waiting on them hand and foot, trying to pay the bills, trying to, just do the things that a parent does. And you just don't have time for yourself. By the time the day is over, you are just tired, which is all the more reason to be eating healthy or be taking care of yourself. But it doesn't work that way. It always works the other way. Yeah. It's like, I am exhausted. Try taking 4 little boys fishing. Oh, my goodness. You want to talk about exhausting. Just untangling the lines all day is exhausting, physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And I lived it. Believe me. Then I had a little girl who wanted to fish with them. And so those are things I think that really overtake us. So it's kind of that, and then by the time the kids get a little older, we're starting on that downhill side. We're starting to get tired, and Dave, we're kind of to that age. As you look around, people we've known for our whole life or known for many years in school or whatever, there are some people who just have not aged well, and then there are some that are amazing. And I really think a lot of that goes to diet and mental health.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yep. So what if you look back over your life, what do you think, you've done probably some good things for your health, you've probably done some bad things that has made you unhealthy. What do you see as some of your biggest struggles in maintaining good health?
Oh, well, one of my biggest struggles right now, I was remarried in December. My wife is from Brazil and is an amazing cook. Yes, and she has this idea that you need to eat everything she makes, and so she's I call it the grandmother disease. I cook, you eat, and that's the way it is. And so she'll make cookies 2 or 3 times a week, and cakes, and all these different things, and that trying to maintain all that's in the house, and of course we'll do the juice and stuff, but she really doesn't even want me to. She wants to feed me, right? Because that's the way it is. And so it has been hard to maintain that. It's like, but I miss it. Not that I don't miss the flavor of the juice. Trust me, not that it's bad, but I do miss that feeling, that energy, and that mental feeling when I'm not doing it on a regular basis.
Yeah, there's when you were talking about that, my family's kind of like a rural Montana farming, ranching family, and I get the most hilarious. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's hilarious, but these unique looks at when I tell them how I'm eating, what I'm eating, they're like, it's like massive eye rolling. And they're going, it's like, what happened to you? So I can really relate. There is some valid things about our cultural experiences and our family experiences that tie directly to how we eat and how good our eating habits are. So it can be a real struggle, I know. So, I don't think they appreciate me riding the bike like you appreciate me riding the bike. They see me driving down the road and they think, Well, we could have him clean out the chicken coop or something if he wants some exercise.
Yeah, that is probably true. They're probably jealous. But one of the things is I've seen you when we go to picnics or we go to events or whatever, where you'll bring a salad, you'll bring something healthy. Yeah. We're eating burgers and dogs and chips, and it really has been an inspiration to me to be able to see it, because you've lived it, and you actually, although the stuff you eat is kind of strange, you kind of grown to like it.
Right? It's amazing.
Amazing. It's amazing, and I think that would be with all of us. It's simply changing our taste for certain things, like the juice. I give it to the kids and stuff. They're like, "Oh man, that's not very good," but I like it. I don't love it, but it's not bad. It just isn't. It's not a problem.
And just knowing when you're chugging that stuff down, that it's going in your body and doing some good, like building and building your immune system, building your muscles and your skeletal system. Vital organs are all getting nutrients from that, whereas some of this other stuff we've been programmed to eat is like actually taking away from our immune system. It's taking away from building muscle and all that. So it's kind of a learned thing.
Oh yeah.
So here second to the last question, Guy. So I'm putting a crown on your head, King Olson, giving you a magic wand, and you're looking around and you're thinking, I'm going to do one thing that is going to help a lot of men get healthy and stay healthy. What do you think, if you could do one or two things? What do you think it would be that would really help a lot of guys get healthy?
I think removing the stress from our lives, just to be able to eliminate that stress and that busyness and allow some time for mentally, whether it's prayer, spending time with your family, and exercising, going for a walk, going for a hike, going camping, whatever it is. And I think we all know that those are the best days. Yeah. Those are the good days. Yeah. When we're not pushed and we don't have that. Well, I got to grab a burger quick. I'm just so busy. I need to, but I need to eat. I need to grab something quick. I'll hit the drive-through.
Exactly. Yeah. So so you keep coming back to this whole stress thing. So in my life, every day I face stressful situations. So how you mentioned that you would remove stress. What are some practical things guys can do to reduce stress in their life? What have you done? What have you seen other people do? How do you do that?
Well, it's kind of like a circular in the sense that I think by eating better or by using the juice mix or whatever it is, you feel better and you have more energy and you're thinking better. So you're accomplishing more. And by the end of the day, you're not exhausted and you have some energy left to do whatever you do. And so that in itself helps relieve the stress. You know what I mean? There's just sometimes you just can't. Your wife gets sick with cancer. You got parents that are getting elderly. You got to take care of whatever it is. Sometimes there's just stress there. And, of course, I rely on the Lord, whether it's time in prayer or God's Word or church or my men's Bible study, whatever it is, involve myself in stuff that charges me instead of decharges me or wears me out. They're just certain events, certain places to go to. Went to men's Bible study Saturday morning. Man, I was charged when I left. I felt good. And so involving yourself in stuff that's not sapping your energy, but actually charging your battery.
Ooh, that's good. That is good. All right. Okay, well that sounds good. So let's wrap it up this way, Guy. So you have this great performance fuel company. And why don't you wrap this up this way? Why don't you tell us, if people want to see what you're doing or get a hold of you some way, why don't you leave us whatever contact information you have, and I'll put that in our show notes, by the way, so if people don't get it right out at first, they can look in the show notes. And then just wrap this whole interview up with your final thoughts on men's health and what that means to you, and what any closing comments that you have regarding men's health.
Well, from a company standpoint, I've always looked at fuel similar to how you do the health of the body, keeping your car running at its best every day. That we sell a line of fuel additives. That's all I do is the fuel additives. We don't do oil or anything like that, but we sell it on a continuous use basis. Every time you get fuel, every day you run that engine, every day you start that car, you're continually cleaning it a little at a time, all the time. So you're constantly getting your best performance. You're just not every 3,000 miles pouring something in to clean your system and then let it go to pot all the time and then try and fix it 3,000 miles later. And it's the same thing with you. You can't just eat one good healthy meal every month and say, man, I'm going to be strong because today was a super healthy day. It's a daily ritual, and it's no different with your fuel in your car. And that's one of the things I do is try and teach people it's different. You've got to keep them at their best all the time. It's no good to let them fall apart and then try and make it better again later. Same thing in what you're doing. You got to keep healthy all the time. You can't just occasionally eat healthy and expect results. You just simply can't. And so my website is Fuel Guys, like diesel fuel, Fuel Guys, and of course that's a play on my name, Guys. .net, N-E-T, fuelguys.net, and you can sign up for a newsletter on there. You can email me. There's an email link on there as well, our phone number, all of that. You can contact us. We got a real small line of products, but they're top quality products, and really work hard at technology, being up to date with the technology and making sure that we can get you what you need. And of course, we train a lot of fleets, a lot of big companies, in that sense, where I literally do a talk on fuels. It's about 4 hours long when I do my training. It's like, how do you talk 4 hours on fuel? Believe me, I talk a whole lot longer than that. You know me well enough to know that's true. But so we're kind of doing that same thing you are. Keep your system clean. Keep your system running at its peak every single day. The engine's going to last longer. Body's going to last longer. Your car's not going to have all the hiccups and the stuttering and the faltering and everything else, just like the body. You're not going to have all the pains and aches and struggles.
You've been listening to The 4 Pillars of Men's Health with Dave Skattum. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit the4pillarsofmenshealth.com.